welcome back to Loving's Guitar, where I like to talk about guitars and how they move me. Today I got a new box, and the tease is over. And we gotta open this up. Okay, so Tease Guitars sent me a model. They said, hey, Waldo, would you like to review this guitar on your channel? I said, sure, why not? I don't know what's gonna happen. So and they were kind enough to, Torsten, I should say, was of Tease Guitars, was kind enough to say, you know, they don't want any part of it. They're just like, don't tell us what you're gonna do. Just let us know when it's up, and we'll take it from there. You know, just, you know, reveal your real impression. So I'm here to do some revealing. All right. So first we gotta get out some sort of ceremonial knife that all those first I gotta put it back in, because apparently there's like a ceremony. The knife comes out. Now this is really a letter opener, but you know, it looks kind of evil and stylish. So let's get into these bananas. All right. So can this even cut? Yes, it cuts pretty easily. You know. Oh, here's a. I don't know. Is this a note? I don't. Usually when I receive guitars from, you know, a place of some distance. This came from New York, actually. Tease Guitars is apparently from New York, but I don't know. Was that a New York number he was calling me from? I don't know. It was foreign to me. Torsten is a very nice gentleman on the telephone. Very pleasant voice. He seems like he's really passionate about this aspect. Look, there's a little bit of crunchies on the bottom of the box. All right. We gotta hope for the best. Hopefully I'm not sawing through anything like a magician's assistant or something. All right, so, okay, so, oh, look, there's another piece of tape. You know, I did this once before, and it took forever just to cut the tape off. All right. All right, so moving right along here. So what is the model? Let's see, what model is it? Let's see. Tease Guitars. Is there a model number? What's this? It's, the ST1 SPR. It's green. Okay, it's green. It says it's green. I have a seafoam green guitar. It's not really green. It's more like slimy. So, but I don't have any like green guitars. Who buys green guitars nowadays? We have a gig bag. And look, it comes in a Tease Guitar gig bag. Oh. And there's a spec sheet. Because we need the spec sheet. Because you know me, I'm all about specs. All right. Okay, ST1 SPR. That's its spec sheet. All right, okay. Let's see, where is there anything in here? Oh, okay, no, there's no one in there. It's magic. All right, hold on. Let's get this. So this is a gig bag, you know. I could tell it's not like I don't know, really heavy duty, but it's enough to, like, you know, get in the car with or something. Or like, you know, hey, you know, if you're driving or riding around in a bicycle, you can get from gig to gig probably. A little lightweight, you know, something to get the rain and the dust off. I don't know if it's waterproof, child. Probably not. So there it is. Look, it says Tease. All right, we're there. We're teasing at least. Right? Okay. Follow me, folks. Follow me for more. Hey, listen, if you get a chance to, like, you know, you're probably watching this thing saying, you know, is there something I can do to pass the time? I know what you can do. You can hit the like button. All right. Oh, look! It's a guitar. What else would it be? It's not a toaster oven. All right. Oh, God, you know what? This is It's already in the way, these things. All right. Okay. Hey, it's, oh, nice. Look at this color. I mean, look, seriously, folks. Look. Look. Oh, look. It has that, that freshly covered string look. You know, like when they just put strings on, they put the parchment paper on it. Okay, well, it says a few things here. It says, 9/42. Oh, yeah, 9 to 42, because I did request nines, because I think it normally comes with 10s, normally set up. But I did kindly ask if you're going to send one for me to evaluate so that I compare with how others feel like for me. When I play Stratty types, I like 9s. For the whammy bar, especially if it's like a vintage trem. 10s not a thing for me. I like 10s on other types of guitars, not on a vintage trem. But anyway, all right. What else does it say? I see 1.5 in the low, 1.4 in the high. Is that string height? Yeah, it could be. Right. Neck. Oh, we have a neck relief of 0.005. How about that? These things are written here. Nut, bone. Intonated, yes. Okay, so set up by Torsten. It says here, right up, look at that. This is personal. Look at that. It just says it right there. Like, how sweet. How about that? I mean, that's not very, oh, we got some stickers. And a card. Oh, great. Okay, so now I can Torsten, I can send you a Christmas card. You know, on Christmas, it's my birthday. Normally, it's my birthday on Christmas. Because on Christmas, that's when I celebrate my birthday. Because, yeah, it's my birthday on Christmas. So, but on Christmas, I could think of you, Torsten. Thank you. So, where do I put this? Oh, yeah, I have a refrigerator I could put this on. All right, so let's open, let's unmask this. Wow, this is a look at the green. I mean, look at this. I mean, seriously, see? Come on. So, gosh, this is, oh my. Is this lovely? Is this a roasted neck or something? Or is it, how is this like so nice and dark like this? Let's read the specs. Let's see what this says. SPR spec sheet. 17 colors to choose from. I got one of them. All right, but this, what color is this? What do they call this? It's can I just call it lovely green? Hey folks, the color, lovely green. Okay, you heard it from me. All right, so 17 colors. 10 colors are in pre-order status due to arrive May 5th. That's soon. It's soon. Like what? We're not even in May, folks. But so you could get your orders in soon, I guess. Our setup line is 55 deep as of today for pre-orders. So there you go. There's people looking for this stuff already, all right? So word gets around. All right. It's a poplar, full thickness, 1.75 swimming pool routed body. 7.4 pounds, 6-point trem, bone nut, 18-to-1 sealed tuners, modern C, 305 roasted maple neck and fretboard, satin finish back, oh that's right, okay, and 22 ball and rounded stainless steel frets. It says bone nut again. All right, so we're not getting two bone nuts. It's the same bone nut, but okay. But it does have round. Look at these little ball end frets. All right, so low output, vintage style, single coil ceramic pickups. 0.25 dime sized pots and 0.22 cap transistor 5-way switch. Standard, see now it says standard 10 to 46 strings, but he changed these to 9 to 42. Standard in-house setup includes action at 1.75, intonated, polished frets, nut cut, neck relief set at 0.010. Apparently I got mine set even lower. Okay, pro setup is optional. I don't know if this is a pro setup or not. It's $50. Action, standard, or drop. Okay, highly polished frets, right? So that's what you get. That's what they're ensuring you're getting, a polished fret. And short saddle screws installed. The right size, so there's no pokey bits. Nut cut to spec. Tuners lubed. Nut lubed. Fretboard conditioned. Okay. Relief set to customer specs. A technician will call before your guitar set to make sure it's exactly as you want it. Wow. Currently, we're at the end of April 2026, and it sells for $179.95 and free shipping to the lower 48 states, United States. Continental, states. With the UPS fuel surcharges that are in effect, the pre-order price will remain the same. There are no price guarantees when and after the units arrive. If you do pre-order, your price is locked in. And now, the reveal is, how does this feel in my hands? Well, I'll tell you one thing. This has has a great weight to it. It's not like ultra light, and it's not heavy. Not heavy at all. And it's not ultra light, meaning that sometimes guitars feel so light they kind of feel toyish. This doesn't feel that way, but it's also still a light guitar. At 7.4 pounds? That's a light guitar, folks. Some guitars, I have guitars that are 6 pounds, 5 ounces, and I love them, But that doesn't mean that a guitar, even up to 8.5, 9 pounds, can't even blow them right out of the water. So you can't just judge the quality of a guitar by its weight. Maybe what it can do for you. All right. So, in this case, the weight is beautiful. And wait, have I mentioned the color? Look at this color. I mean, this is beautiful. What a beautiful green. All right, so what else are we seeing here? I think, God, this neck is really smooth. And this is the first time I'm going to play with a neck with ball end frets. So we're going to see what that does for me. I do like the headstock. This is kind of, in the realm of guitars that are copying or, the Strat outline, they have to make changes to the head, obviously, because the headstock is proprietary to Fender. So, but this chunkiness over here gives me more of this feeling of more Fender-esque. It's pretty bizarre. I like that. Did they say bone nut, right? Yeah, I could see that. Oh. What? Did I tune this guitar yet? No, I didn't. What the? Damn, if that's not spot on or close, then... Now, folks, despite the excitement of receiving this guitar, I did give it some time to acclimate, because that's how you really give a guitar its chance. If you get no matter how excited you are, you won't really know how it wants to showcase its appearance to you, its first impression, unless you give it a chance to. And I did. Now, despite oh, it was. I'm not sure exactly where in New York or close to New York they were shipped from. But I'm guessing we're both in the same temperature climate, and given that, even if it was a few hours away, I still gave it a day of rest or a day and a half before I even decide to look. Here we are. Yeah, we're doing this. Let's tune this up. Okay, so, all right, folks. Hey, listen, before I plug this in, is there anything you want to say? I can hear you. All right, so let's move on. Let's see what kind of mess we get ourselves into. Oh, yes. Oh my God, look, you have a, you can adjust your truss rod. This is the way all the truss rods should be. Oh God, that's great. What else is great about this? Okay, we got some pretty tuners. I mean, they look functional. They look like they're gonna work. Why shouldn't they? All right, we're gonna see. Oh wow, look at the way this is healed. This heel is cut out. God, this feels really nice. All right, let's see what happens. this is telling me something. I mean, it's got to be telling you something. What are we learning from this? Is there something that we can surmise? So, what do we got here? So, beyond the first impressions, which were impressive to start out with, the tactile part of me is evaluating this whole experience. And what I can say clearly is that this plays very, very well, I think. There are a couple of things that I wasn't expecting. One of the things was the feel of the neck. And now, upon first impression was, the back of the neck, it feels like this is very comfortable. It just sits very nicely in the hand. It's clear that some sort of attention must have been had here, either in the way they manufactured it in China, and then, or maybe the way the final assembly went along in New York. Tease guitars from New York, right? So the surprise that I'm getting is that now, I think I've mentioned this before, that these have ball end frets. Now, this is the first time I've ever played a guitar with ball end frets. And so, is there a big difference? And is that difference a better difference? Okay, the answer to those two questions is yes and a no. How about that? Okay, so there is a difference in how it feels. Um, does it is it better? Um, I'm not sure about that. Now hear me out. I think that might be because on your typical fret ends, they reach all the way to the end of the fretboard, and then possibly then if it was set up right and finished right, then yeah, a fret file would have finished it off, and then some sandpaper and polish and all of that stuff. Now, all the polish is definitely in here because it's like glass. There's no sounds at all. I'm gonna put this right up against this microphone. That's not. This is really slippery. It's like glass, literally. So, my my first reaction to ball end frets is that I'm I'm thankful that I get to explore this through Tease guitars, and whether or not I think it ups the ante over the traditional way of laying frets down on a fretboard. I'm not sure about that. Now, here's the way why I'm saying that is that, or it could just be that there is one more finishing touch that could have been done to this guitar, and that is because we have this these ball end frets. It would have been just one thing more they could have done for T's guitars, and just roll the edge of the fretboard. Because what we're feeling then, and here's another thing too. You know what? No matter how I feel this, it's not that there's no snags. This is like something that, say, Phil McKnight would be able to put his the pantyhose or whatever that on the and rub this, the end. And you know what? It really feels like there's no like snags or anything, and I'm putting my finger right on this thing. And this is definitely comforting. Playing on this bridge with no pokey bits, that's a plus. That's a plus. Whether or not the ball end frets to me is a plus, I'm not really sold on the ball end frets. But it has ball end frets, and I'm glad that look, they look beautiful. They're doing their job. It's great. It's not You know, yeah, I can rub my finger on here. There's no scratches are going to happen. However, there is a difference between the ball end fret and the edge, because on normal frets, the fret would go all the way to the edge, and then we file it. And in this case, it's short of the edge, and though it is rounded and polished, now we have that void, that absence of it. And so right where the fretboard ends, and the difference between where the fret ends, there's this little part of wood. So I think maybe possibly if we roll the fretboard, we might transition better in that feeling. Hey, listen, I can feel the extra contour in here. There's a lot of comfort going on in this guitar for me, more than I was expecting. Okay, so these are these ceramic pickups, right? They say they're vintage voiced, right? You know what? I I can agree with that. Yeah. There's a little bit of lower output quackery in this, and I tend to like lower output pickups. So maybe I'm already biased to it. I mean, I was biased as soon as I saw this thing. I mean, look how the color is just fantastic. This is literally fantastic. The weight is like just spot on. I do kind of miss the fact that I can't control the bridge pickup with the tone pot. This is so freaking nice, though. So what are the differences other than that? I mean, is this better than like comparatively priced guitar that's trying to meet these sort of objectives? I believe so. In fact, we have a lot of pros reasons why this is can actually compete or even be better. For starters, I mean, just the fact that we're starting with a bone nut, and we have the rollers, and we haven't got to the trem part. But of course, that would be the final verdict, right? Because this is an S type, So what happens if we put this thing on? Now, because this holds tune very well. Actually, this is nice to hear how it sounds in the room, Sounds very chimey. I wouldn't say it's like resonant, but I'm hearing the strings very nice. And it actually just this feels really nice. I'm kind of surprised, but no, I'm not, because the marketing they've done, or what they're selling. The selling point is that Tease Guitars puts this final finishing touch on it, so making sure that the intonation's set, and I'm not getting any sense that the intonation is out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say that the intonation is in. I can just yeah, everything is telling me that the intonation is in. Not to mention that I take a look at it, and it just looks like that. Just after a few years, decades, I should just say, it kind of looks that way. So what happens if we put the whammy bar? Now, normally I like to set up all my Strat types, or S types, as floaters. So and right now we have this. It's not decked, but it's just it's on the deck, but it can pitch downward. All right, so this, let's do this with a little bit of volume, right? Should we right now? Oh, wait, how about that? Let's see. All right, so there it is. All right, so that does sound nice. I'm sorry. This. All right. Okay, so let's try the mini bar. Oh God. Oh B. Ooh. Oh. Oh. I heard something. There. We got pinging. They hear that pinging? Whenever you hear a ping that's happening at the nut, there's no way, absolutely, you haven't got a snowball's chance in hell to keep a trem system going. If it's like a vintage trem system, not a Floyd Rose locking nut or anything like that. But if the string has to slide, through these slots as it's being utilized, well, if it's binding in any one of these 6 slots, we're going to have a problem. And I'm going to guess, because we just heard a ping, that I'm going to guess some of these strings went sharp. Oh my God, we just went very sharp. All the strings went sharp. Wow, and D went really sharp. B's semi-sharp. E, every string went sharp. Okay, so now every string went sharp. So but we did hear a ping, so I think that the nut will have to be dressed. Now the nut, here's the thing about dealing with your nut for a trem system. If the nut has been set like for height-wise and spacing, then we really don't need to mess around with that. What we need to do is give it some relief. Most of the time, a lot of that extra weirdness that will happen that will create friction on the string from the nut actually happens in the back part of it as it goes towards the tuning pegs. So the objective then will be to, here's my fancy knife. What it has on? There's some gizmos on it. Someone's sandwich on it. God knows. So what we'll have to do is behind the nut, we have to make sure with a nut file too, is give it a little bit more relief so that it can exit the nut towards the tuning peg. And if that doesn't clear it up, we should not hear any pinging. Let's hear this again. Let's see if we have any. Right, yeah, right there. And here's the thing: is that you can find out which string it is by just holding, just gently putting your finger on every string behind the nut, and then move your whammy bar, and see which one when it stops to ping. I could feel. Okay, that's the one. That's one of them. But here's the thing: there's another pinger. So we have issues here. Issues that can be resolved. And it's not something that's, it's to get all freaky about. Because setting up a trem system, a vintage trem system, once you have it set up and you have all the naughty bits that are trying to, get in the way of a good trem system, once you get those things sorted out, then there's no reason why the 6-point trem or 2-point trem can work flawlessly. All right? and you can rely on it. But it just takes a little, even more care, you know. Rarely does a guitar with a vintage trem system go from the retail store to the client's house, and then it's a flawless trem system. How you set up your trem will be relative to the strings you use, and then once you choose your strings, then your springs have to be calibrated, synchronized with that gauge of strings that you're using. Um, so I'm not sure that if this would have been set with, I think the standard string gauge that Tease uses is the 10 gauge. It could be 10 to 52. I don't know what the gauge. But when I spoken to Torsten, I did mention that I was using nines, 9 to 42s, especially if I'm going to use a Stratty type. I personally like the 09 to 42 for using a trem system. Vintage trem system. I actually prefer vintage trem systems than Floyd Roses and stuff like that. Kalers. That's just something that I wasn't expecting that guitars in this price range to have trem systems set up, because that's almost going a little extra far and beyond. That's a real personal adjustment that has to happen. Now, if you have a good guitar tech, luthier, setup person who does it, maybe, I don't know, some people take it to Guitar Center. Um, I haven't had that much luck with Guitar Center setups. I find that my setups are better. With that being said, this guitar was set up just beautifully. I mean, right off the bat. I mean, feels like a guitar like without the whammy bar, because the whammy bar kind of like, I don't want to end it on a sour note, but unfortunately, this is the reality of opening it up for the first time and seeing what my first impressions are. That being said, just because this thing doesn't hold tune because of the whammy bar doesn't make this a bad guitar. It just means that this baby needs attention. That's all. And yeah, despite this being a guitar for me to evaluate by Tease Guitars, and I'm not being paid for this. And Torsten was very clear he didn't want to get in the way of the process, or I didn't have to show him the video before I was going to set it, launch it. So it is what it is. And I like to be honest. So how does this compare with other guitars? I don't want to talk about that in this issue. I think right now in this episode, because it's not fair. Right now, I think, to be fair, I want to give this thing my undivided, focused attention, and see where that goes and how people respond to it. And maybe they're seeing how I respond to it. Now, obviously, if you know my channel, you know I'm a very tactile person. It's all about feel. The sound can be adjusted, and even the looks can be adjusted. But the feel, that's a real hard one, unless there are ways you can adjust the feel, like say a glossy neck, you could take off the gloss and then you have a different feel on the neck. And that even applies to the body for some folks, like me too. I found certain guitars for some reason have a heavier gloss, and for some reason I can feel that. And it feels like I'm separated away from the guitar because like the gloss is too heavy. I know it sounds weird. Maybe I'm weird. I don't get that feeling with this guitar. This guitar, I mean, first of all, this is the first time I've had a green guitar, and I mean, I have had seafoam green, sure, but this kind of green, this is just almost like a candy apple sort of carousel park, so one of those little carousel cars that are in the kiddie park, something like that. Bumper cars or something. It's kind of like almost like a candy apple version of that Jaguar green, but cooler. Kind of emerald green, not quite hunter green, but I don't know what it's. It's a beautiful green. I don't know if people are catching this in the light. I'm really, I'm, I'm really pleased. As I said, I don't want to mention Harley Benton right now because it's not fair to this guitar. But I will mention that I do like this headstock. What a cool headstock! I mean, and okay, I will mention Harley Benton just a little bit. I do like the Harley Benton headstock actually. Maybe I've grown accustomed to it. I like it now. But this kind of is like almost closer to a Fender. This part of it. You know, it's pretty interesting. Um, it just feels like every single edge here has been addressed. Wow. Well, all right, so maybe we should also take a look on the inside, see how this thing looks on the inside, right? Maybe? I don't know. Should I get into that? Well, if I do, then God bless me for doing that. And if I don't, well, maybe I'll have to take my word for it that he said he shielded the cavity in here. And I'm not getting extra like weirdness. No, I'm not getting any like noisy sounds from here. I think this is it's worth looking into, and for the reasons that I mentioned before, you could look at this. There's pros and cons to everything. What do we got here as the pros? We have this color is a pro. The weight of this is pro. The back of the neck, pro feeling. Polished frets is a pro feeling. No pokey bits. That's amazing. That's a pro feeling. These extra contours. This contour really is it's a little bit more than I expected and greatly appreciated. This the way this is carved out over here, this relief over here. Oh my god, this is outstanding. I'm really impressed how this really works. I don't have to I haven't yet adjusted the truss rod because there's no need to. This neck is straight. I checked it. I'm very impressed. So, what are the cons? The cons are, well, for some people, ceramic pickups is a reason why these pickups would have to be yanked out of a guitar. I'm not really sure about that. But here's one thing to know is that we're be thankful that there's a swimming pool cutout routed out here in the middle of the guitar, underneath the pick guard. So I could put a humbucker here. That might be interesting to put right over here, or a blade type um, humbucker. This is gonna have to be addressed over here, so that's definitely oh, you know, a thing. And again mentioned, I think any guitar that has a whammy bar should have rollers on it. This comes standard with the rollers. And so I guess the Tease guitar experience is that you're getting something that's been set up for you. You know that those last finishing touches. Now, was I expecting that the finishing touches would include setting up a trem system that works flawlessly. I could have, and I should have. Am I disappointed that the trem system is not working correctly because that sets it dramatically out of tune? I could say, I could say I'm disappointed. But here's the thing: I'm kind of expecting most trem systems to not work, and I'm expecting on my end to make a trem system work. I don't feel like really it's a failure point when trem systems fail on the first go, because trem systems have to have a personal setup. So maybe because Tease Guitars usually sends out their guitars, as I mentioned, in 10 gauge, maybe 10 to 52 or something, that maybe, the spring tension was set up for that. But again, we don't know that because I can tell right now the springs are pulling the bridge all the way down to the surface. So there shouldn't be any movement except, when you put a whammy bar to dive it down. What am I going to do to make this thing work for me? Well, I'm going to have to put in my little finishing touch with the nut over here. It won't take much. It may just take a few minutes. Then I will get back in. I'm going to get into this and then set up the springs to be synchronized with, how I want this whammy bar to work for me. And you know what? There's other channels that can guide you how to set up your trem system. I mean, I was thinking about doing a video like that. But the honest truth is, Dylan Talks Tone. If you can find that channel, he's way more popular than me. But he has a very easy to follow method in setting up your trem system. I highly recommend watching his videos about setting up the trem. He has a few of the same videos done over his many videos because he's done so many more videos than me. So I think he's done it a few times, maybe 2, 3, 4 times or whatever, these type of videos, setting up a vintage trem and using post-it notes and stuff like that. It really works, and the way he tells it to you, it's very simple, very easy to understand layman terms. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. But once you understand the method, then it's like, man, what a breakthrough. I mean, that was for me at least. So I apply that to all my S-types now, and I've turned all my S-type guitars into floaters. Well, and I prefer vintage trems, and and some of you may know that some of my 6-point trems that I have, I've removed 4 screws, the 4 middle screws, and then I wind up having the 2 outer screws, and that's basically now a 2-point trem. I've done that a few times. Anyway, thank you for watching. If this resonates with you, then hit the like button. If you think someone might appreciate this kind of shenanigan approach to, getting a first-time impression on a guitar, then share this with someone you might know. What else? You know what? Leave me a comment if you know anything about Tease guitars, or if you any other questions you have for me. If you have a Tease guitar, let me know how your experience was. And it'd be really cool if you did subscribe. If you did, I thank you in advance. And I guess that's it for today. Until I come up with a new reason to say hello to you and interfere with your calm day. Okay, folks. Be nice to each other. Most importantly, be kind to yourself. And, I don't know. See you the next time I get all choked up. Why else would you be so possessed to watch this channel?